In this video, we shall look at a sonnet by Elizabeth Barrett Browning. It is the 43rd sonnet from the book Sonnets from the Portuguese. The title is How Do I Love Thee? Let Me Count the Ways. Elizabeth Barrett Browning was born in 1806 and she died in 1861. Okay, without going much deeper into her bio, just for the information for this sonnet, she was very well read, a genius from her very childhood itself. She had a very idyllic childhood, a very happy family, but she lost her mother. She lost her brother later. She herself became invalid due to a fall from her pony, and therefore she was quite bedridden. Now, and she started writing. Her poems were already published in magazines, and in January 1845, uh, she received a letter from Robert Browning, the poet Robert Browning, who had read her poems. And he wrote to her. The first opening line of the letter is, I love your verses with all my heart, dear Miss Barrett. And the last line was, I do, as I say, love these books with all my heart, and I love you too. And then in early summer, two of them met. Their courtship, they exchanged a lot of letters, and actually, her father, a very tyrant, very despotic person, he was very possessive of his children. He didn't want anyone to settle in life. He didn't want Elizabeth to marry. She, of course, felt she was very happy with her father's love quite in the beginning. I mean, a happy childhood that she had, and therefore she kept this courtship in secret without letting her father know, and both of them secretly wedded on September 12th, 1846, and she stayed one more week in in their house without her father knowing about the wedding. There is this beautiful movies made in 1934 and 1957, The Barretts of Wimpole Street. It's about their love relationship. Now, in their letters, of course, they wrote about everything because these two poets of highly intellectual capacity, they could talk about anything. The weather, the flowers, the people they met, of course, their love, anything they could write. And in those days, Elizabeth would say, you have come to me as a dream comes, as the best of dreams come. Okay, so that's how she has written these sonnets, 44 of them. Just it was just for herself she wrote, and these what I have in this slide is that she would wait for his letters as waiting for the postman to deliver the letters. I have heard the footsteps of a letter of yours ten doors off. How beautiful it must have been, two poets loving one another. So Robert Browning would write back, I have loved you all my life unawares, and this is the idea of you. Very beautiful expression. And he was sure that she shouldn't continue to live that filial obedience. Okay, it's high time for her to leave her father, and he says he affirms her that he too thinks that she should not submit to her father's whims and fancies. So this sonnets from Portuguese is was published in 1850. Their wedding was in 1847, and after their wedding, after 1 year or so, she showed these sonnets that she had written in the notebook that wherein she had written these sonnets, and then Robert Browning suggests that these were at par with Wordsworth's sonnets and so on. So those days, I mean, this is the Victorian era, and The sonnets were not in vogue, yet she uses this form of sonnets. And he found this very charming, very excellent, the very and a brilliant way of writing these sonnets. So they thought of publishing it, and that's why we have today these most loved poems, love poetry that Elizabeth Barrett Browning has written. And this sonnet 43, How Do I Love Thee, Let Me Count the Ways, is very popular. And there have been many plays or poems or songs or compositions on this title itself, How Let Me Count the Ways. So Elizabeth thought of publishing it with the title Sonnets Translated from the Bosnian, because they wanted their they didn't want the identity to be revealed, because these were very private, intimate responses of her love towards her beloved. And Browning suggested that the title could be Sonnets from the Portuguese. The Portuguese comes from one of the works of Elizabeth, Caterina to Camion, wherein she describes the love of Caterina to the captain Camion. Okay, so he used to nickname her. Browning used to nickname her as Portuguese, and that's why these sonnets from Portuguese was named. And this is a record of her reluctance to marry. Okay, it was not easy for her. She didn't have her mother to confide in, and her father was very possessive, how to talk to him about, and her yielding to his love despite his objections, and their final happiness together. And that is based all these 44 sonnets. Now, this How Do I Love Thee, sonnet 43, is a Petrarchan sonnet which is written in iambic pentameter, and the rhyme scheme is A B B A A B B A, and the sestet is C D C D C D. Now, a Petrarchan sonnet treats a theme in two parts. The first 8 lines are called octave, which would state a problem or ask a question or even express an emotional tension. And the sestet, the following 6 lines, would resolve the problem, answer the question, or relieve the tension. That's how it has been structured. And as I mentioned, the rhyme scheme would differ in octave and in sestet. Okay, now look at the sonnet 43. How do I love thee? Let me count the ways. And how I love thee is repeated 9 times in this 14-line poem. Okay, so she begins by this question, how do I love thee? There's a pause. Okay, it's a caesura. It's a pause there, wherein she is stopping and she is taking account of, let me count the ways. Am I true, or is my love real to you? Because by the time she is courting him, if she is almost nearing her 40s, and it is not an adolescent love or a young adult love, because this is an adult's love, adult to adult relationship, and therefore she has to take stock of what is it really, do I really love? I'm going to make a very phenomenal decision in my life, a momentous decision in my life. I'm thinking of eloping with him. Okay, so do I really love? Am I taking the right decision? Therefore, I need to introspect and see in how many ways I love you. Okay, so that is why she is counting the ways. Let me count the ways. And then she begins one by one, one by one. The first quatrain, let's see, I love thee to the depth and breadth and height my soul can reach, when feeling out of sight for the ends of being and ideal grace. Now, she's beginning to count. How? This is a spatial metaphor wherein she uses this space, this three-dimensional figure, like depth, breadth, and height. Okay, so it is not just a very flat, but it's a very dynamic three dimension to her love. where her soul can reach. It is not just the physical love or the infatuation that she feels, but it is much deeper and deeper where her soul is involved. So, wherein I love thee, I love you, up to the level where, up to that realm where my soul can reach. And this depth, breadth, height, it is coming from the Bible. Okay, let me take it to the verse in the Bible. Uh, this is actually St. Paul's letter to the Ephesians, chapter 3, verses 16 to 19, wherein I'm taking it from 16 so that we get the background, wherein he is praying. I pray that out of his glorious riches he may strengthen you with power through his spirit in your inner being, okay, in your inner being, so that Christ may dwell in your hearts through faith. And I pray that you, being rooted and established in love, may have power together with all the Lord's holy people to grasp how wide and long and high and deep is the love of Christ, and to know this this love that surpasses knowledge, that you may be filled to the measure of all fullness of God. So this the wide, long, and high and deep is Christ's love. That's what she is referring to. And some you might be familiar with that song, very popular song. God's love is so wonderful. It's so high, I can't go above it, or it's so deep, I can't go under it. It's so wide, I can't get around it, and so on. So that's what God's love is. So where the soul can reach, when feeling out of sight for the ends of being and ideal grace. That is, even when you reach God, and ultimately you return to God. That's what we are made for. That's the Christian belief is. So she is saying, when you reach the ultimate being, in some versions the being is written in capital, so that for the ends of being, wherein you meet the being, that's the God, and you reach the ideal grace, that's the God. So I love you till where my soul can reach, till that end. That means this is a spiritual dimension. It is not the mundane dimension. She begins with the spiritual dimension of her love. It's a spiritual volume. It's an abstract concept. Okay, it is not that. That means it is a limitless. It has, though she sets off to measure her love, she realizes it's even beyond what can be measured. So it's an all-encompassing love that transcends space, time, even death, and it defies all measurement. And that is what her love is. She cannot explain it, and that's where the first quatrain is about. And now the second quatrain, lines 5 to 8. I love thee to the level of every day's most quiet need, by sun and candlelight. I love thee. Okay, I forgot to mention that enjambment in the first lines 2 and 3. I love thee to the depth and breadth and height my soul can reach when feeling out of sight for the ends of being and ideal grace. Is you can find that enjambment. Enjambment is a poetic device that the poet uses. Enjambment in French means striding over. It is to show the continuation of her love, like it cannot be stopped, or it cannot be measured or contained. It just overflows, it just spills over. So my love spills over to the depth, breadth, height where my soul can reach. It cannot be stopped, it cannot be contained, and only at the end of the quatrain that period is there, that full stop is there. Now coming back to the second quatrain, I love thee to the level of every day's most quiet need. Now, from that spiritual dimension of the first quatrain, now she shifts to the mundane dimension, every day. Okay, I love you to the level of every day. It is an everyday experience, not just spiritual alone, but it's also here and now. Okay, the mundane, everyday's experience as well. So it is the present love that I feel towards you, not just not just the spiritual dimension, but I feel this in every day, in the most quiet need. Okay, but that no one else know. I can know within the heart of my heart that I love you. I feel for you. By sun and candlelight. By sun during the day and candlelight. Those days, of course, there was no electricity. Therefore, candlelight means by night. And that means 24 into 7. I love you. I love you at night. I love you during the day. I love thee purely. I love thee freely as men strive for right. She's using a simile here. I love thee freely as men strive for right. It's quite natural. It comes freely. Okay, it's like human nature is that we always act the right way, the moral, the upright way. Okay, that we stand for righteousness. We stand for our rights. We are morally. I mean, basically, we are moral beings who there is some sense of goodness in us. Within the heart of a being, there is this goodness. So, how men strive for what is right. That's why the world goes on. In spite of all the corruption, still the world goes on, means there are some souls who still strive for this right. So it is as natural as that, as free as that. And that's my love is. And the second simile that she uses, I love thee purely as they turn from praise. This is pure. All these praises that you listen or that you may hear from your friends, from your relatives, etc., won't last forever. But a person who is pure doesn't feel affected, is not carried away by the praises or by the taunts. Nothing affects him. A person who is pure is like he or she is what they are. They are neither too high in cloud nine or too low when they are not praised, but they are always they remain a sort of balance, and that is what her love is. It is so pure. I love thee purely, as people would turn away those from praise, because you know that praises won't last. These are very momentary. The praises are. I mean, anyone who is wise, who is intelligent, or who is who is a sage like would understand that these praises won't last. So the first quatrain is the spiritual dimension. It is the spiritual volume that is she is measuring, and the second quatrain is the mundane. So it is the octave juxtaposes the spiritual and the mundane. And she coming to uh, the sestet. The octave is about the present love and the sestet. Now let's look at the sestet. Here you see the change. Okay, there's volta, it is called. There's a turn. I love thee with a passion put to use in my old griefs and with my childhood's faith. Again, an enchantment. I love thee with a passion put to use in my old griefs. Okay, it continues. In the past. Now the time frame here is of the past. My old grief. I mentioned it at the beginning that though she had an idyllic childhood, she lost her mother, she lost her brother later. She was very close with her brother, and after she lost her brother, she wouldn't even talk to anyone about him. Okay, that much was her sorrow, and the personal griefs in her body was invalid. She was feeling the pain, the sorrow, and all that. Even how uh, I love thee with the passion put to use in my, how she was yet passionate in her childhood, how she overcame all this, and that same passion, with that same passion, I love you, and with my childhood's faith. You know, when you are children, your faith is unquestioning. You just believe blindly. If a child were put on a second or a double-storied building, and if the dad asked the child to jump, the child would jump. But if an adult is asked, you would just smile, okay? You would doubt. And that's what the faith is of a child's faith. It is that's why Jesus would say, be like children, okay? Be like child. Have that childlike trust, faith. So I love you just as I loved in my childhood, in my child as my childhood's faith. I love you. So it is not just a feeling that I have, but it is true to my being, that I can feel in every cell of my being that I love you. I love thee with a love I seemed to lose with my lost saints. See that L sound. I love thee with a I seemed to lose. It could be a reference to her tyrant father, that she was very fond of her father, how he doted on her. She was very quite happy about him, but later as an adult, she realizes that he is very possessive, he is very tyrannical, and she was even scared of him. That she realizes it's not true love, and therefore she lost that halo that she had, the pedestal where she had placed her father. I seemed to lose with my lost saints. She even had a friend whom she trusted, but later she found that he was very hollow. So first she placed them as saints, but then she realized that they were not that uh, the real saints. So I love thee with a love that I seemed to lose. Okay, so that's again an experience that she has. It's not just the feeling, but the experience. Then again, I love thee with a breath, smiles, tears of all my life. Okay, not just this was about up to line 12 with my lost saints. There's a pause. Okay, that's about the past. It's a surah there, and up to there she spoke about the past, and now she comes back to the present and the future. Okay, I love thee with a breath, smiles, tears of all my life, with everything, with nothing I can separate in me that doesn't love you, but everything with a breath means with my life itself. I breathe you. Okay, I smile at you. My tears are of you. All my life, everything is of you. Everything is of you. I love you. I love you really. And if God choose, I shall but love thee better after death. And in future also, not just in this present life, even in future, I love thee. Even after my death, if God choose, if I go to heaven, I will still love you there. Okay, we don't know what will happen, but she is using this hyperbole to express her love for her beloved. So she asked the question, how do I love thee? Let me count the ways. And now she has counted the ways, and the last line is to affirm that I love not in this love alone, but I love you even the life after this. And therefore, my love to you is true and genuine. I love you. So this repetition here, I love thee freely, I love thee freely, I love thee in number 7, 8, 9. This is, it's called anaphora. Anaphora is a repetition of a word or expression at the beginning of successive phrases for poetic effect. So she is repeatedly saying that at the end of octave, I love thee freely, I love thee purely. She begins the sestet, I love thee. All through the poem, she is repeating that I love you. I love you. Okay. In my pain, in my gain, I love you. In my sorrow, in my happiness, I love you. There is nothing that can separate. Probably what Saint Paul would say, what can separate us from the love of God? The same way she's asking this question. There is nothing that can separate me from you because I love you. My love is genuine. Okay, thank you. That is it about. And my sources were mostly from the Britannica Encyclopedia. Thank you.